Hey friends, so today we'll be talking about Git commits, in particular how to write them, or how to write similar ones like for pull requests or diffs, whatever you want to call them. Now, I know what you're thinking, why should I care? Let's start with an example. Here we have a pull request we want merged. We have a release train in about 2 hours, and we want our code to be merged by that, or else we'd have to wait for 2 weeks. So we have add code to make it work in our title, and our body is I tested and it worked. Now, as a reviewer myself, I look at this and I go add code to make it work. What code make what work? I tested and it worked. What did you test? Why did you test it? Why does this code exist? So as a reviewer, I see this and I'm like, okay, this is maybe like a couple hours of work here to understand what's going on here. I should time box this for like next week or the week after. So even though you want this reviewed now, I'm probably not going to do it because it's a bit awkward. The next thing you should know about is that pull requests are not native to Git. There is a thing like email request pull via email, and I've never seen anyone use that like ever. Pull requests, how people think about them, are very much built on top of platforms like GitHub, Fabricate, or whatever Facebook uses nowadays. So when we migrate from one service to another, our pull requests don't come with us, but our Git commits do. Nice commits let other programmers speed up the feedback loop. So here I'm asking a question how someone tested something. If this was in their pull request already, I'd be able to go in there and just see like, oh, okay, they tested it like this. I know exactly what's going on here. No issue. Git commits let you use native Git tools as well. So tools like Git squash, rebase, merge, blame. Blame is a useful one when you want to see why someone's written code. If you use that, it'll show you the Git commit and not the pull request. Some software like PyCharm will let you go to commit the pull request if it uses like GitHub and you're connected to GitHub. Otherwise, it's just commits all the way. Git revert, log, short log, all use commits, not pull requests. We really need to write nice commits, is what I'm trying to stress here. Now, how do you actually title a Git commit? We should have the left-hand side be a verb, like feat, bug, more on that later. We should describe what we're doing, and it should be 72 characters maximum because GitHub limits that, I believe. I have a slide on this. And it should be sort of like imperative, you know? Like if you take it out and say this commit does this, it should be like this commit adds new API handler for Burger Maker. Yeah, so 72 characters or less at the absolute maximum. Otherwise GitHub trunicates it and it becomes messy. You have to clean it up afterwards. Or other programs trunicate. It's like a Git standard to trunicate after 72 characters. Now the adverbs you can use in titles are things like fix, feat, chore, CI. CI is my favorite because whenever I write CI pipelines, and the only way to test it is to run it through the pipeline, and the only way to run the pipeline is to make a commit to the pipeline. So you end up with like 500 commits test in the pipeline. You can squash them afterwards, but you know if you have like live updates of commits in Slack or something, you could prefix it of CI to let people know it's just CI you're testing. Docs and tests. All adverbs we can use at the front of our commit. This way we know, actually, here's a good example. This way if we see feature, we know it's a feature that we're adding here. Breaking changes are changes that break how we expect the code to work. And we can denote them with this exclamation mark here. We can also add in scope in brackets. So this is a feature that breaks the API, is what we have been told here. And it's add handler for Burger Maker. So we have lots of context already from just the title. Titles are really important because it's the first thing people read. So if I work on the Burger Maker API and I see feature add handler for this API, I'm like, okay, this is something I know quite well and I could probably review this quite fast. Break and change, okay, I got to double check what's breaking here just to be sure. This tends of commit style is called conventional commits. It's a nice standard, a convention, if you will, on some machine readable and human readable messages to commit messages. Next up is the body of the commit. Fundamentally, commits are documentation, and we want to write good documentation. I presume you write documentation. I mean, I do, right? So we can open up a nice sort of Git commit editor with If you do git commit without the -m, it opens up your favorite text editor, whatever your terminal is based in. So the first line is the title, 70 characters. Next line's a new line, and then do another new line, so you have a blank line in between them. And the new line below that would be the body. And your body can be as long as you want. You can have as many new lines in your body as you want, as long as it's separated. One of the big features I want to see in bodies is how did you test it? Very common, I see things like tested and it works okay. I'm sorry, but I'm not really satisfied with that. I want to know why you tested it or how you tested it. Examples include like Python code is imperative. Imperative? No, it's interpreted, which means the code is run as it's read as it's executed. So if you have a bug in a function and the function's only reached like once out of 100 times, there's a chance that's not reached during your testing, and you may have a bug in that function and you don't realize it until it goes to prod and everything goes wrong. Telling me how you tested something also removes trust from the equation. I don't have to trust that you've tested it appropriately. I do trust you, but it's like I would like not to, you know? Let's just remove trust from it if we can. Another feature of writing your tests and documentation is I may need to work on this in the future. And when I do that, I'm going to be like, okay, how did you test this? And then I will try and learn myself. I probably won't be able to learn, so I go to you and go, okay, how do you test this? You'll go, it's been 8 months since I tested this, I don't know. And then we'll look at it together and we'll be there for like 4 or 5 hours figuring out how to test it. If we wrote the tests and the commits anyway on the documentation or pull requests, I wouldn't need to do that. I could just do it and get on with my life. So knowing how you test it helps me a lot. So here's how I like sort of tests to be written up. So we have things like how did we create the tests in the first place? Like how do we get to the stage? We Docker build, we create a service, and we curl the tests. Here's a different test you ran with the curl endpoints. These build steps are quite important in my opinion too, because not everyone knows how to build the software you're working on. Sometimes build steps differ per person, or per project, sorry. Another thing I like to be answered is where is this deployed? This is for companies with multiple deployments. If you have like one deployment and that's prod, I don't really care. You don't really need to tell me. But if you have like 500 deployments, I want to know, like, did you test in dev 59, which is very, very broken and barely works? Or did you test in dev 60, which still sort of resembles our production environment, still be used? If you test in dev 59, I'd like to know, because then maybe it doesn't represent what production's like, and we should go and fix that. Or we should test in a different environment if we care that much. As well as commits and bodies, we could have footers, which just exist at the bottom of our commit. So here's an example. There's actually a review here that you can't really see. If I go to the next slide, now we can suddenly see Sadia, a security expert in London office on Thursday, reviewed this manually. This is in this text too, but I bet you probably didn't spot it because it's quite long. My opinion is I don't really read things that offer. I think we should write them, but I might not read it because if I'm in your team and I'm in stand-up every day and you tell me every day what you're working on, I don't really need to read like the description like this that says like, oh, this is what I'm doing, introducing a new feature, I'm solving this ticket. It's like, I know what you've done there. I've been in your stand-up every day for the last like year. I know exactly what you're working on. I can see the Jira board. So when we do things like this commits manually reviewed, we can pull that data out and do like a sort of key value pair here. The conclusion to this is that if we invest time now into documentation and into writing better commits, it'll pay us dividends in the future, which will save us all time and effort and energy. If you like this video, make sure to like and subscribe, leave a comment down below, rewatch it all the way through. I don't know what the cool thing to do now on YouTube is. But do let me know what you think. Thank you.